Hello, and welcome to Starting From Scratch. So, a few days ago, closer to a week at this point in time, Deb came out with a Testament guide, and Deb is one of the best Testament players to do it right now, so I figured that I would take a look. I didn't really want to use their footage without asking for it, and there's all this whole, React video stuff going on with YouTube right now, so what I did instead is, I'm not getting it monetized anyway, but, I'm just staying away from that stuff, is I took some notes from what Deb's strategy was, and then I just wanted to compare it against my own. So the first big one was use Arbiter, right? Because from anywhere between right about here, all the way to, right about, here? So for, a large portion, probably over half of the screen, you threaten a tracking landmine on your opponent, which essentially forces them either to the very edge of the screen or to be right next to you. I mean right next to you. That's not close enough. This is not close enough. So they either have to approach you or they have to run away or they have to stand in this horrible area. And they don't want to stand in that horrible area because if we set Nagoriyuki to block here for a second, let's get up to 2 bars and see how much Nagoriyuki gets. Let's make sure that he is blocking. Yes. Alright. So, he does not want to deal with this, because you can see very quickly we are out-metering him by a lot. When Stain goes off, it gives you a ton of meter. So, one more, maybe? One more after that. Alright, so he has what? An eighth, maybe, of his bar, and we gained a full bar. So he can't just stay there and take Stain hits either, right? So he can't sit there and block and just eat those hits. So basically, you can force them in. And once you've done that, you can do some cool stuff. So the first really cool thing that I saw from Deb was using 2P on offense with Stain, because you can see we can get hit here if we're not careful, but otherwise, everywhere else, you can see he can't throw here. Even on the K hits, and of course anything bigger than that, he can't put a button out in between, but here you can do a frame trap. So on something that would otherwise be really easy to do a fuzzy on because the block stun is so long, it would be really risky when you have them stained to run up and throw them because they're just going to try to fuzzy it. Now you've made it so that the difference between bop and bop, there's not a lot of time there, right? There's a very short amount of time to try to fuzzy, so you can really mess with people trying to fuzzy you even though they've got Stain, when all your other buttons would make it super easy for them to do that, and that throw would never come out, right? Because they would have already done it behind the Stain block. So that's really powerful, and I'm going to be adding that to my repertoire immediately. And then we had 5K, so if we remove the Stain setup right now, the thing about 5K and 2K, I have gravitated towards this button, but the thing about them is that they are both quite good. So they both go into sweep, and for some reason I just can't get guard to go away. There we go. Alright. Because I'm bad. But you can see that, look at this. That little 5K hit was half the screen and Stain. And same thing here. So you can do the same thing here, obviously, right? And then you've got your Succubus out. So that's super good. So I'll probably start putting more 5K in. I've sort of started gravitating towards 2K, but 5K also quite good. 6P, we didn't learn much of anything here. 6P is ridiculous. If you have Stain, it's the best 6P in the game. If you don't, it's arguably still the best 6P in the game. It hits behind, it hits above, it hits in front. It's ridiculous. One of the best 6Ps to ever do it. And then I came up with, or saw another thing Deb was talking about that I didn't really think about too much because I've been worrying about Stain too much, but Testament's got some good buttons, right? So this is round start. This is 2 steps back from round start. Far slash, still a threat. And basically what I gathered from what Deb was saying is that most of the cast has to commit more to beat your far slash than your far slash is a commitment, right? So yes, this loses to 6Ps or something, but the second that you know your opponent is going to be trying to 6P a button, that gives you a huge advantage, right? Because now, if they do it while you're not pushing that button. Like 6P doesn't hit from here, right? But your slash still does, so you can catch them on recovery and whiff punish. And so, you know, suddenly they're playing your game just because they're trying to, you know, get the upper hand on you by showing that they can beat it with 6P. And yes, they can, but they've got, what, like 15 to 20 frames of this being actually hittable. And at any other point in time, if they do the 6P, they just whiff and suddenly you're in. So, yeah, really powerful. And then obviously 5H. I have not used this button as often, but it does have a good disjoint. So I should probably use it a little bit more. But for the most part, Deb was also saying, I mean, for most everything, unless the disjoint matters, your far slash is just so much better. See that? Yeah, it's just so much better. So I'm gonna be looking at that. That was like a spot where we can RPS that I haven't really been looking at too much, and I think that's gonna be huge because like figuring out how to get around this button is basically your opponent's main issue. Like getting around this and this, but specifically this because it's the lowest commitment thing that goes that far. So yeah, that'll definitely be part of the game plan soon. Then Deb talked about how when you do the second crow, it goes down a little bit more, and apparently there's some strings and stuff and some situations where that's really powerful. That's probably something for the future Studmonger to figure out. We won't do that here. Then 6H, obviously great against jump outs and against jumpy characters. Like I've been doing this in neutral against Milias a lot, and they just die. It's great. I'm sure that they will become less susceptible to that as we get better, but at 1300, that's happening all the time. And then I don't use this as a neutral tool too often, but in footsies it's super good because it's got almost double-digit active frames, and it's got a huge disjoint. And if we make it so that he blocks here, you can see that even Nagoriyuki, who's got command throw range on his normal throw, he can't grab this. It's only -2, so the only thing that can punish it is throws, and he can't do it. Even with dash momentum, he can't do it. So the only way that he can do this is to just defend a 23-frame startup move, good luck with that, and then throw. And even then, we can just delay a fireball, because that's a normal, and catch him anyway. So that's super good. And yeah, I'm looking forward to using that a little bit more. Then obviously, we've got Arbiter, allowing us to zone. We sort of talked about that already. I've discovered that for the most part, I can skip this step right now and go directly to this, because this is what people are doing. What are people doing to avoid this? This. Every single time. No exceptions. I'm not even getting people who are like, doing, you know, like this. Nothing. There's no... They just do that. That's it. They just air dash forward, or if they've got a low profile move, they'll sometimes use that. And that's pretty much it. This is the answer. And then obviously my answer to that is this, or this, or this, or this, or this, or this. Turns out the Testament has 6 practical anti-airs. Yeah, so, you know, once they go in, you just beat them with all of those things. And if they go in normally, you've got these buttons that are all really good. So that's great. Then Stain, playing around Stain, we kind of already have that, right? We have offense Stain, we have what to do in neutral Stain, we RPS when we have Stain. Like, obviously some of that's going to take time to get good at, but we're fine with that. So yeah, this part was the part that I made sure that I was trying to do. And then, obviously, you get meter, you get screen position, or you get Stain, and you are in a huge advantage, right? Like, being able to hit somebody with this when you actually hit them, and then go into a super is incredibly important. And you can even do some fun stuff like this. And then when you get it, so if you get it, the hit, then you should go into a super, I guess, right? And if you don't, then you go into the other thing, right? So basically, you can start practicing like little scramble situations where you can hit confirm. And Deb suggests that you look at their HP bar to decide whether or not you're going to do it. So there, we didn't get hit. There we did. Man, looking at the HP bar is amazing. Okay, we didn't have the right spacing there, but obviously we got the hit. And yeah, you can, I think if I had done it later, it might have worked actually. But yeah, so you get cool stuff like that with meter, and because of Stain giving you so much meter, Testament usually always gets meter really fast. And then obviously, once you're in the corner or something, you know, this becomes a real problem, right? Like that's meterless. Or if you get Stain, it's the same thing, right? Like once you have Stain on them, you can get all kinds of like meterless stuff on people, which is great. So yeah, that will be what I will continue to be doing, and yeah, I was really happy to have this. I know that it makes it so this may not be quite as pure, but we will not let pride get in the way of improvement, and we've learned some great stuff from this. So I will continue improving, putting some of the new things that I've learned into practice, and I hope to see you there.